Namaskara.
Namaskara.
All right. It's quite long since we had the last 20, I think it was 20th video, if I remember correctly.
23rd, I think.
23rd, okay. So, of course, it's my assumption that you're going to be very busy with your house construction, and also my own involvement, a lot of, like I was explaining before, putting my personal things order in India so that my children will not face much difficulties in the future. That took a lot of my attention. Time it took, I mean, I cannot say I don't have time. I had a lot of time, but my attention was drawn elsewhere. So I apologize on your behalf also to all the viewers who, a few of them sent reminders also. So my understanding of what we have covered so far is this way. Recognizing that the Prameya's list is not given by Madhwacharya himself. In fact, one of my criticism against Madhwacharya is precisely that. He doesn't really set the context of what he wants to establish. He comments on so many things, reacts to so many things Shankara has said, but exactly, okay, this is what, like Shankara clearly articulate, Brahma Satya, right? Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, in that couplet, he kind of articulates his hypothesis, which I found very difficult to find, maybe my lacuna, but I did not find. But this one was very handy because it clearly states about 9 Prameyas, objectives of Tattva. So I thought in the 23 odd videos, you have covered the following things. Parataraḥ, I mean, this is clearly articulated several different ways. Satyaṃ jagat is also you articulated, noting that, at least the way I understand, the satyaṃ jagat extrapolates to satyaṃ Vaikuṇṭha also, which is not only in this world, even the Vaikuṇṭha is also real. Unlike Shankara's hypothesis, where there is nothing to define after mukti. One of the Shankara's philosophy, if I had to kind of critique, is that there is no prologue nor epilogue, in the sense that this world is dismissed of this world logically, of course, in his point of view, but nothing much about the current world. Likewise, afterworld also is not much because it's not there. Physically, it is not there. Even spiritually, neither is there. Therefore, it was much easier. Like once I was my conversation with Satyatma, I was saying that he had no difficulty. I mean, he did not have to face any answers because he said it's all, subjective reality. I don't have to explain. That became easier. Whereas for Madhwacharya, Satyam Jagat is absolute sense almost. Therefore, he has to define and defend his arguments against each and every aspect of what Jagat is, as well as Vaikuṇṭha is. So that also, so logic, in my view, you did tattvato, bhedaḥ, jīvagaṇāḥ, hareranucarāḥ. Also, in my view, you explained that Taratamiya model flows out of this nīcocca bhāvaṃgatāḥ. And then akhilāmnāyaikavedyo hariḥ, that every Vedic scripture is by design purported to highlight Vishnu. Hari is the point here, which I thought he used it in the context of establishing the epistemology of why Madhwacharya is saying what he is saying. In that context, I think you did quite elaborately, in my view. And what is left is 2 points. Mukti, this Prameya's definition of mukti as nīcocca, and the means for that, amalā bhaktiśca, tatsādhanam. These 2 are the key things. Ultimately, all that is fine. You describe the world, you do this, you do that. But what next? That's the biggest puzzle, right? 2 puzzles are, from where did we come is the puzzle, where are we going is a bigger puzzle. Where did we come from is no longer relevant because we are here anyway. It no longer matters. But where we are going becomes very important for us to get peace of mind. And that's where I think these 2 are very important, the definition of mukti. But this is where I find, as I have keep telling in all the forums, in any platform I talk, I'm saying that Madhwacharya's point seems to be taking an Advaitic concept, giving a sweet taste and presenting. This is what I find here also. Nīcocca anubhūtiḥ by implies other sukhas are not nija, mithya. So he kind of indirectly agreeing with Shankara's definition of Mityavada, at least when it comes to day-to-day, this worldly waking state experiences, etc. That is the way I feel. Otherwise, why you should also, you didn't say Sukha Anubhuti or Vaikuntha Anubhuti, he said Nijasukha Anubhuti is this argument. And much more intriguing is the means of attaining it, which is amalā bhaktiśca tatsādhanam. What is amalā bhakti? That is where I would like to bring your attention. You know it very well, more than I do. Mahatma he defines bhakti. It's very interesting way. Mahatma jnana purvada sudruju sarvato adhika sneha bhaktriti proktam tata muktir na cha anyatha. In other words, he wants sarvato adhika sneha. Only that is bhakti. In exclusion or more than anything else is called bhakti. Now, when sarvato adhika, when you extrapolate that point, it covers everything else other than Hari. Even Madhwacharya's and others' construct of what Hari is, their definition of what is philosophy, metaphysics, this has to go excluding anything else, because parataraḥ satyaṃ, Hari is only parataraḥ satyaṃ, right? Therefore, in which case, does it not say, move towards Advaitic view, that other than the principle, you call it Hari, you call it Brahman, whatever you call it, other than that, everything is not valid in the context of mukti, it's only a stepping stone, and it's also mithya because that doesn't give you nijasukha. Therefore, I would postulate between these two prameyas is again taking an Advaitic concept which is too blunt and presenting in such a way that we feel good about it. That is my counter argument, which obviously you will not agree, but I would like you to address that in some point or other in the next 2 or 3 courses which you are planning.
Sure. Can I start, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hariḥ Om Anasammaha akhilāmnāyaikavedyo matadvhanta divākaraḥ jayatyamita sajñāna sukha shakti payonidhi abhramam bhangarahitam madaram vimalam sada anandatirthamadulam bhaje tāpatrayāpaham āpādamauļi paryantam gurunām akratim smaret tena vignaha pranashyante siddhyanti ca manorathaah. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hariḥ Om. So, the way I was going through this one is not just from the point of view of this Prameya Navamalika Stotra, whatever Sriman Madhyamate hariḥ parataraḥ, that is supposed to have been composed by Vyasaraju, though our Bannanje, he was not much in agreement with that. So he wrote his own Prameya Stotra also, which encapsulates all the things. By the way, this whatever you call as the Advaitic thing, right? The Brahmaiva satyaṃ, okay, Jagan mithya, Brahmaiva satyaṃ, Brahmaiva jivo nāparaḥ, jivo Brahmaiva nāparaḥ.
Correct.
That is also not encapsulated by Shankaracharya. It is written by a much later person. It is not it has, I mean, now it is associated with Shankaracharya's Siddhanta, but it is not done by him. He also just went about and going
It's part of Veda
commenting
Chudamani.
on. Huh?
It is part of Veda Chudamani.
Yeah, so there is a contest about even whether Vivek
He
Chudamani was composed by him or not.
Okay.
That was right.
Trust the scholars to come up with this.
No, there are reasons for that. See, the thing is, if you go with the Shankaran philosophy, right, you will find that there are certain places where he talks about his philosophy. So there is one in the prelude to Bhagavad Gita, Bhashya, and there is one which he does again at for the Brahmsutras, Adhyasya Bhashya. There is one which he does again in Brihadaranyaka Bhashya and in some other places. So if you take these are the core texts, you will find that there is a significant difference from some key points, especially things like Vivarta and all that when it comes to Vivek Chudamani. So that is the reason why people have been little doubtful. At least the Pandits have been doubtful in the Vedic circles is what I would assume. But anyway, we take that we as in even the we go with the traditional view that all of them were composed by one person and not multiple Shankaracharyas. And but if you see, for example, his Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashya, right, you will find it quite a bit of difference from his regular approach to the whatever is written over there. So that is the reason why people postulate that they are maybe not the same person who wrote that. Anyway, so coming back to Madhwacharya's this shloka is supposed to have written by Vyasarajuru. Dhananjaya feels that it is not complete because it doesn't talk about, for example, Vayu Jivattamatva and some few other things. So he has written his own thing. And I mean, it is what Vidya Manyuru used to think that this shloka encapsulates everything and it is sufficient. So that's a more of a scholarly thing. But what I was trying to do is more like, establish Advaita from a, what do you call as, from the scratch kind of thing, from first principles. So you see what do you consider as evidence, right? You consider pratyaksha, anumana, agama as the evidence. Why should we consider agama as evidence? See, I mean, most of the times that is the first question that we will have, right? I mean, why should I believe in Shruti? Why should I believe in Veda? What is the relative importance of Veda over pratyaksha? When do I believe Veda? When do I believe pratyaksha? Right? These are the epistemological questions which is I mean, they may not put it like this, but this is exactly what the beginners will face or confront, right? When they are going through different things. Should I take Aham Brahmasmi as the final meaning? And that meaning will be realized in future, or should I say that that will never happen? I will give a different meaning to that. Now, which of these two approaches will you take and why? So epistemology is at the core as to why we go with Advaita or Dvaita. That is, I think. So once we get there, then the rest of the principles, the ontology and things like that, will be easier to follow. So that is the approach we had taken so far. So what we had done is we had gone through the epistemology first, what we established as pramāṇa. We did not accept, for example, that currently there are so many other texts which go by themselves, which go by the names of Upanishads and things like that. We don't consider them. I mean, there is no official position on this, but I think it will be correct to say that people generally, right, when they stick to debates, right, they stick to the main Upanishads that have been there and the works that have been quoted by Madhwacharya and other people in the parampara. I mean, even the even things like texts like Nirnaya Sindhu, Dharma Sindhu, they quote from texts which are not available today, but we take them because they have been kind of validated by the parampara types. So we accept those texts and then we move on to say we move on to basically say that these are the ontological principles. And so first you define what are all the things that are out there. So Hari is the supreme. Then there are these Jivas. Then there is Lakshmi. There is Taratamya within the Jivas. All of this is again not our postulation. It is coming directly from the for example, from not for example, it is coming from the scripture. For example, if you see the fact that we say that other than Lakshmi, right, every other jiva is tainted by some or the other dukkha. Okay, so how do we know this? If you see Ato Anyad Artam is what the Shruti tells, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad tells that thing. Ato Anyat Artam. Ataha is other than Vishnu, Anyat, everything is Artam. Artam means Artho Dukhi Vishannaha. You know that shloka, right? So Artha means the person who is under trouble, who is under pain. So we use scripture to basically say that we derive our understanding about the entire universe. That is basically we define our ontology based on these scriptures. So that is where we also come across this Taratamya. It was not just Taratamya among the deities that we saw there, right? We saw how not just multiplicity there is. Let me share my screen once. Just give me a minute.
Sure. And let us dwell for some time.
Sorry?
Let the screen dwell for some time for readers to go through.
Okay. But I need to quickly. There it is. You're able to see my screen now, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, we basically talked about this. Okay. We talked about Vishesha as an ontological category, and then we moved on to this one, which says that Veda teaches us multiplicity and Taratamya. And There is nothing like this is vyavaharika or anything like that. So we basically, you are saying that, your thinking is that Madhwacharya has taken Shankarite vyavaharika and then given it seriousness. The way we look at it is that, Veda has talked about multiplicity and all that. It is what the pramāṇa says. That's why we believe in it. You are basically reducing it to vyavaharika, but there is no proof of that, is what our stance would be.
Argument.
So,
Okay.
So that would be the argument there. So here, basically, what I was trying to show earlier is why is Vishnu Sarvottamatva there. Okay, Nato Vishno Jayamano Najatah Devam Mahimna Paramantamapa. Okay, which basically says that no Deva yet to be born or is born will achieve your supreme glory. Yo Devanam Namadha Eka Eva. See, basically all you bear the the names of all gods. That's what this one means. Okay, it doesn't mean you are all gods, or you are basically you're identical with them, or they are your amshas and things like that. Amsha is a little tricky word. We can talk about that little later. But yeah, so it basically promotes, or it refers to difference between the namadha and the deva. Basically, the person who bears the name versus the person who who is referred by us, kind of thing there. Then again, even this ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti, that also is something that we talk about reference to Vishnu there. Otherwise, the word ahu would not be there. Agni is repeated twice. If you want to avoid all these flaws in scripture, which is apaurishaya, which is therefore supposed to be flawless, if you have to avoid the superfluity of speech, right? Or something like what in English we call this thing, right? Return back or reply back. The sense of back is already there. So it is considered unnecessary duplications, these things.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, sir.
See, when we look at this Rigveda thing, ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti, does it not mean, because the use of word vadanti, it is one principle which is called several different things, correct? If we take that principle, if we take this understanding, there is no taratanya possible, because it is the question of calling by different names the same entity. How can same entity be different, higher and lower, just because it's given some other name?
Correct. Very good. So it is not just that. Okay, so our understanding is, see here, it is not saying all gods are same. It is saying one entity is called by these different names, which is Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Agni, and then the Suparna, Garutman, and all those things. But again, it says Agni is there. Yamam Matarishwanam. So there is Agni here and there is Agni here. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So what we are basically saying is that there is one person who has these qualities, which is referred by these words.
Names.
Yeah, the name refers to a quality. For example, Indra means it comes from Idu Paramaishwarya.
Correct.
And so the person who has this Paramaishwarya means extreme lordship.
Correct.
Okay? Aishwarya is not just wealth. Okay, it also means lordship. Ishvara Bhava is Aishwarya.
Correct.
Okay, so similarly, Mitram is very obvious. Minoti Trinoti. The Acharya gives that definition also in some other place. Minoti Trayate is basically Mitram. Varunam is Varaniyatvat Varunaha. Okay, one who is respectable is Varuna, or one who is Shrestha is also Varuna.
Yes.
Then Agnim is there. Okay, and then we basically say that there is one person who is called by these different names because he possesses all those qualities. So now the question is, how do you even know that there is another deity at all in the first place?
Correct.
So that is the reason why I had given this one to here. Nate Vishno Jayamano Najatah Devaha Mahimnaha Param Antamapa. Okay. So it basically, this one means that there is no Deva yet to be born or is born who will achieve your supreme glory. This sentence would not make sense unless there is another Deva at all in the first place. And who is born who will continue who will be born later, or who is born earlier.
That is a stretch, because let us say,
it is like this, right? I'll ask you one small question. See, can
Yes.
I say Sarveshwara when there is no Sarva at all? The Lord of all.
No.
Then there is no
I
all
agree.
there.
I agree. That's what I'm trying to explain. The sarva is there in the mind, not necessarily in reality. For example, we often say, no, there's nobody like Rajinikanth, right? It does not mean there is somebody else who can compete with Rajinikanth. In our mind, there can be nobody at all. Likewise, it's a question of curious mind asking itself, is there anything else? No, not at all. It cannot be. Therefore, I use the word survey. It does not establish there are a bunch of gods who are compared and then it was declared superior. That is necessary for tatvaṃya model. The proof of multiplicity of God is required to validate or being the grounds for tatvaṃya model.
No, sir. But see, I'll tell you one thing. Let's say you are not trained in Advaita, right? By default, the force of language, the basic language is that when you say Sarveshwara, right? Or let's say, what I tell you that this person is the Gramadhipati or something like that. Okay? Or what do you call? He's the head of this organization. You will not go through this similar exercise in your mind saying, is the organization in the mind or he's actually there and all those things, right? So you will basically the by default meaning that you will grant to that kind of words is to basically say that yes, there is a team to which this person is an Ishvara. Okay, and that is where if to get over that default meaning, you need other reasons to say no, that sarva is in mind and all those things. So the burden of proof to say that sarva is in the mind is on the people who say that rather than the people who give it, who assign it the default meaning. Correct?
So the premise is default, the prima facie default meaning is the ultimate satya. That I see in all the approach of Tattvavadin, that is the approach. What I see is what I get.
No, we are not saying that either. We are not saying that even that is the case everywhere. We are not going with the default meaning everywhere. The default meaning gets precedence over the other meanings, okay, when there is a, when there is no badhaka. Okay. If there is a badhaka, we will resort to other meanings. So that is what I wanted to, for example, aham brahmasmi is there. Okay. Aham brahmasmi by the default meaning is I am Brahman. But we will give up on the default meaning there because we see there is a badhaka. Badhaka means there is a conflict, there is a problem, there is a superior problem, superior statement or an issue or a prameya that has to be accommodated for this to happen, for the default meaning. So we give up on the default meaning and then we resort to an indirect meaning, or there are different types of meanings. So we resort to that. For example, if somebody says, right, Calcutta is on Ganges, right? I mean, you would have seen, or London is on Thames. Can it really be there on Thames? No. Right? But that is the nature of linguistic usage.
Yes.
So when there is a badhaka, then we say, okay, it is on the banks of Thames or it is on the banks of Ganga. Right? So that is the default meaning that that is where we give up on the default meaning. So when there is a badhaka, we give up that, and that is where the real conflict lies. Advaita thinks there is no badhaka so there are two different realities, and that is how or two different orders of realities. One is vyavaharika, another one is paramarthika. Some apply here, and only a couple of things talk about few things talk about the paramarthika level. What we say is that there is no pramāṇam, even to this particular division of paramarthika vyavaharika. There is a pramāṇa for basically the linguistic usage of yaugika, rudhi, and then lakshanika artha, gauna artha, all those things. We use that to come up with a simpler and a better reconciled meanings between the Shruti. That is what we are trying to do here. So everywhere we are not going with the same principle that the default meaning is what we will hold to. We will hold to it as the primary thing unless there is a different and a stronger blocker.
Yeah,
That is the idea.
I ask a cheeky question.
Go ahead.
So that the viewers understand, your argument.
Sure.
You avoid taking the default meaning whenever it is convenient to you because you have an a priori position, and the default meaning does not correspond to the a priori position, and therefore you're willing to go for non-default. It's a matter of convenience. Can I say that?
This convenience has to be based on something also, no? It is not just like I like this, I don't like this kind of thing. right? See, I have come up here with the rules of agama interpretation. This is independent of what it is saying there. This is purely based on how language has to be interpreted. You can take this module, right, and you can put this thing in any other thing. Like, for example, your civil code or legal code is there, where you need to interpret sentences, and you will find that you will eventually come up with similar rules there also. The framework is going to be needed in any place where language is employed. It's a different thing that we have this generative textual engines these days, which do not align with this.
Yes.
But eventually, that's a different thing. But eventually, when you do that, you will find that, okay, in this case, if let's say I'm reading one civil code, you find that there are two codes that are in conflict. You'll say, okay, there are some 8 ways in which we can define, we can resolve the conflict between two conflicting textual passages. This applies to this one, this applies to this, or this applies to this person, and this one applies to this person, or this whatever it is. So there are some 8 different ways in which the virodha between two different things are handled. So my point is that this is based entirely on just the linguistic framework. It is not based on what I want it to be the truth. Okay. And here I think both Dvaita and Visishta Dvaita are nearly kind of same in that approach, at least. Okay. The conclusions are different, but what do you call that? That's why we have, I think, a deeper fight than what our fight with Advaita is. Okay. But eventually the point is that this is the basic framework with which we try to come up with the rules for agama interpretation. There are more there. Acharya is the only person, to my knowledge, right? I have seen Shankara's this thing also. For example, in the Brahmsutra bhashya itself, right? Atma prakaranat is there. Okay. There prakarana is given more importance. But in some other case, you give more importance to Shruti, Shabdadeva Pranitaha, at least for us, that means that is Vamanadhikarana, where you give more importance to Shruti. In this case, Atma Prakaranat. Atma is the thing because it is the, the Prakarana is saying so. So you have these different indicators, the textual meaning indicators. Okay, there are 2 sets of indicators. All these things, whatever these people teach, they are not there to, they are not posterior, they are not after. It is not like an I have my theory, so I will create a I'll create these rules to align to that theory. It doesn't work like that, because they take a lot of effort to show how their interpretation is not violating a textual rule. And purely from a textual analysis point of view, it's a very interesting and a very intellectual exercise. Okay, I was not aware that Acharya has done so many of these things. Only when I started reading his Brahmasutra bhashya along with Chandrika and other things, you will realize that oh my God, this person he's just too intelligent. I see one side is the avatara theory, okay, Vayu and all those things, but purely as a writer, his intelligence is just too much.
I totally agree with you that those are the moments where we stop and think, is he really human? Because the amount of ability to digest some 500, 600 books and interpret them, connect them is like, for example, whenever I hear Elon Musk speaking, in YouTube, every day I see something or other. I wonder, is this guy really human, right? His understanding is so different and depth. So those are the moments I'm grudgingly willing to admit that maybe Madhwacharya is an avatara. Vayu and all I may not, but still he is some avatara, right? Because humanly, what he has done is really impossible. I agree there. Totally agree there.
No, and the problem is not about just the books over there. Okay, the kind of observation, the deep observations he makes, like simple things. Okay, I'll tell you. For example, when you read Udyoga Parva of Mahabharata, it talks about the efforts that happened after Virata Parva. Okay, what happened after the 13th year? The efforts there, when which finally led to the war, the preparation of the war, and all those things are mentioned in the Udyoga Parva. The thing starts with saying that the Kauravas, the Kurupraviraha, they did the marriage of Abhimanyu and Uttara. Okay, that is what they did there. Is what it starts with that. Now, that is what we will read the story and then go on. Now, what Acharya uses that he's in a different place. Okay, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in Upanishad, you will find that there are many statements, right, where some adjectives apply to the jiva Some objectives apply to Paramatma only. Okay. Lelayativa. Okay. He basically creates this world of dreams and things like that is there. So it is well within everybody's experience that they don't create their own dreams. I go to sleep, after that whatever is shown, whatever I see is seen, and I just emote over there. I just respond to that thing. I do not have any control in actually creating the swapna padartha. So these objectives will look as if they are applying to the God. But then it says Svapiti. He's the one who sleeps. But in Mandukya Upanishad, you are saying that the Lord does not sleep. Okay, aswapnam. What do you call? Yeah, I mean, I don't get the right this one. Aswapnam, asupta, something like that is there. Okay, so that is the nature of God over there. So then, how do you understand this thing? So he says, so Svapiti means swapayati. It is in grammatically, it is called nijanta prayoga. Nijanta means where it is kind of you motivate somebody else to do, you invoke somebody else to do that act. So karoti is I do. Karayati is I get it done. So karayati is basically I make somebody else do it. Okay. So swapiti should be interpreted as swapayati. But how do you know? Why should you? I mean, just because you don't accept the fact that God is this thing, you are unnecessarily what do you call, twisting the scripture. That is what my first question was, even to Madhwacharya himself. So he gives this thing from that Udyoga Parva. Okay, vivaham krutva. Basically, it says that. Okay, see, it is called swarte niche. Okay, the niche is sometimes consumed within that word itself. Okay, so even karoti can be interpreted as karayati, because the niche there, which makes it karayati, is within the same word. It is like kind of absorbed within that word. Now you may think that, man, this is again Madhwacharya's extra masala there, right?
Famous.
But no, he says no. Yeah, that is very natural. I mean, why even I thought like that, right? I mean, though I believe in Madhwacharya, I thought like maybe he has put some extra masala there, right? Why should I not think like that? So he gives us no. See, this kind of stuff is there in regular literature also. It is there it is usage. That usage is there even in Mahabharata. So it's a linguistic usage. It is not my addition. That's what he's trying to tell us. So my point is that when I read Mahabharata, it wouldn't have struck me that they have done that kind of usage at all. I mean, this thing is more like we read it like a story and then move on. He is processing like 10 different dimensions of the same text when reading that. And that's I mean, even if I read some 10,000 times, I will not get that idea.
No.
Yeah,
we flow with the story. The point is we flow with the story. We do not go to the word analysis and come. More importantly, when I'm reading with Mahabharata, my mind is only in Mahabharata.
No, he has a different. His game is different. I mean, at a totally different level. He sees it from many other usages point of view. So he has these rules of this agama interpretation, which is based on which we come up with the ontology that we were talking about.
Yes,
so coming back, right? We talked about here the different why we think that the Veda is teaching us Vishnu Sarvottamatva. We taught us why, and also how do you even know that there are other gods?
Exactly.
Not just this kind of statement. There are other statements which talk about flaws in those gods. Okay. And see here, na yasyendra varunona mitro vatam aryamana minanti rudraha naratayah tamidam swasti huvedam savitaram namobhihi. Okay, none of them understand the actions of the Savita, okay, the creator. Okay, again, very clearly, right? If both are same, why will one say it is not ignorant about himself? I mean, you can say that a person is, they are not, sometimes people get afraid of their own shadows, right? Or they will say, I don't know myself, I may turn out, I may react differently and things like that. But here we are not talking about any such Tom, Dick and Harry. We are talking about the Supreme God. They better know what they are about, right? So that is the reason why we have to say that, well, there is one Supreme God. There are these other gods. The Supreme God has the names, has the qualities denoted by these names, and in much higher proportion, much higher quantity than what these Indra has. So if Indra has Parameshwarya, Paramatma has Parama Aishwarya. Okay, that is the reason why he is the real Indra. Okay, then you will be able to understand passages which talk to him as Indra, and also passages which talk to him as there is other Indra who has flaws over there. See, for example, this one is talking about Indra having ignorance. Okay, Supreme God cannot have ignorance. That's what Acharya says. Then and it sahi sarvajnaha. Okay, sarvajna sarva with. That's what the Shruti tells. So therefore, we have to say that this is the model, right? I have Supreme God Vishnu, who has all the names, who has all the qualities denoted by those names, and then there are these different gods who have the same names, which refer to this, which also means they have those qualities, but that quality is under that Supreme Being's control, and he is given to them by him, and they also have their flaws. Okay, I mean, it will be much minuscule compared to what we have, but it is still there. That is why the Shruti is also talking about the flaws in them. For example, right, here, I mean, we talked about these things earlier, right? Yam kamaye tam tam gromi krunomi tam brahmāṇam. This is Lakshmi tells, okay, whoever I wishes to do, I make him the Rudra, I make him like Brahma. Okay. Another one which tells that, Rudra obtained his position, right, Rudriya Mahatvam, by worshipping Vishnu. Okay. And similarly, next is, Vayu, right? So if you go through all these, even the available text, that's what Acharya says in Rigbhashya, right? Even the available text, if you take, you will get a reasonable amount of understanding about the Taratamya that is out there. Then there, even in again, Brihadaranyaka and in Taittiriya, there is one Ananda Mimamsa that is out there, This level of Manusya will get this much Ananda, then 100 times of that is given, is obtained by the Chakravarti. There are different interpretations, and we I mean, we'll not get into how those other interpretations are correct or not correct, but the main point is that there is Taratamya mentioned in the Shruti itself, and that is the reason why we take that thing there. Okay, there is also very important, right? I had put these things earlier. I don't know whether I covered these ones earlier or not, right? Yeah, see here, for example, Vayu is there, right? Yeshaha vai Brahma yoyam pavade tameta panchadevata parimriyante vidyud drushtis chandrama adityo agnihi. So here it says that Aditya, Indra, okay?
Correct.
All these people, they all get their, they get their samhar. They are destroyed, not destroyed. Basically, their bodies are destroyed by Vayu, who is the future Brahma. Because he is Pavate, he is also the person who flows, who purifies these deities. Similarly, I mean, so whatever the Madhva position, that nīcocca bhāvaṃgatāḥ is coming from the Veda according to us. It is not it is not an adjustment done on something else, or it is not vyavaharika. We basically say that none of these codes, whatever we had given here, have any conditional thing mentioned over there. It is not like, for example, you say, right, the elephant is very strong on the land, crocodile is very strong in the waters. I mean, right? So some of them, they have superiority based on the position, right? And it is not permanent, it is temporary. It is as long as they are in that position, they will have that thing. Sometimes it is because of a certain condition. I have made friends with a different person because of which I get this position, superiority or whatever. It is none of them here mentioned here. This is the default position that is told by the Shruti. And to think otherwise, you need to have a reason, and there is no such reason is our take on this. Now, what I wanted to do was also talk about this thing about Tamoyogya Jivas, right? And the problem of evil and the problem of suffering, right? Because see, these problems may not be treated in so much depth or whatever it is in other Indian philosophies also. They are given a lot of value in the Western philosophies because they are all mostly realistic in their outlook, right? So here we are very only the Dvaita Vedanta and is that realistic amongst the Vedantas. Of course, Nayayikas and Sankhyas, they were all dualists only, but they derived their outlook more from their own thinking rather than from the scripture. Whereas what we are trying to show here is that everything is derived from the scripture, and in this scripture, how is this problem of evil or problem of suffering handled vis-a-vis what is there in either of the Abrahamic religions, right? I want to talk about that, and then finally after that, I wanted to talk about the sadhana and the mukti. So that is we can do that thing in the next one perhaps, right?
Yes, it's only 45 minutes, so we don't want to go more than 1 hour for people to digest. So if you can kind of summarize, based on whatever you have said so far, summarize, okay, this is my approach is going to be in the next sessions, and it will lead to the following thing, it will address the following things. That will provide some kind of a context for the listeners.
Sure. I have actually mainly three more topics to deal with. Okay. I think we talked about the epistemology, we talked about Vishnu Sarvottamatva, and we talked about Vishesha as an ontological category, and then Vishnu Sarvottamatva, Paratamya. I think we have a basic idea there. There are a couple of other points on the one is left is the the Tamo Yogyas. That is generally one. What do you call challenge or one misunderstood position on the of the Madhva system, that we admit that there are really evil souls kind of thing, right? And so I wanted to address that. Also, how to tell how we deal with problems of evil and suffering. So that is what we will cover in the next session. After that, because of this epistemology and ontology, what does sadhana mean, right? What is the final goal and how do you get there?
Yeah.
Right, and that is how the Brahmasutra is also organized. If you see the first two adhyayas in Brahmasutras is about God. It's about Paramatma, Brahman. Okay, the first one tells you how all names refer to him, how he is Anantaguni Puripurna, and how he is the actual creator of this entire universe. That is, and other he involves himself in the other total of 8-fold activities. And then second adhyaya is about removing the what do you call the questions or the block to obstacles to accepting that. So that is the Avirodha Adhyaya. The third one is Sadhana Adhyaya. The fourth one is Phaladhyaya, which is what happens after you get your Aproksha Jnana and things like that. So this is how I wanted to cover. Maybe another 3-4 sessions I think we should be done. I wanted to even there is one more thing which I wanted to cover basically, which is the Dvaita meaning of Mahavakyas. What does Aham Brahmasmi mean? What does the Tattvamasi mean? We'll cover this one. So maybe 5 sessions is what we are looking at.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much. So
Yes.
It's as usual, it's a very pleasure listening to you, trying to strongly advocate Tattvada's position on various aspects. Again, my intention is not to debate with you, but to provoke you to say why you say what you say, or why you say what Madhwacharya says. So,
Right.
my personal conviction is not changing a bit. That is a different thing. Each one of us driven by our karma and Ishvara Ichha, Ishvara Ajna. Wherever I go. If, like some of my very dear Madhva friends promise me Antam Thomas for following Shankara, I am happy with it. If that is Ishvara Ichha, that is Ishvara Ichha. The jokes apart, this is very good. So I hope that we will. I mean, there's no need to fix it to 4 sessions or 5 sessions. I don't want to tax you. Given 20 or so much of your time already. 23 videos means 25 hours or so, and then for it your preparation. I swear, and you're running multiple things. I know that. Therefore, but looking, I was just going through, the channels the other day, and I found that there's a lot of interest in people wanting to hear, because, like I started in the beginning when I said that, say towards you now, Tattva is fascinating to a lot of people, youngsters. Even Advaiti, people who are born in Smartha family, they're very interested. But either young people born in Madhva families are not able to sync with the scholars' talks, right? I don't know. For example, I've seen a lot of videos where Haridas Bhatt explains to a bunch of old guys also who retired, who were suddenly taken to Adhyatma, etc. Everybody is blinking. It's difficult to understand, right? But or Pravacharakaras, like I said, they abuse Sankara and they don't like it. Therefore, people like you who stay the course on evaluating, notwithstanding your bias, doesn't matter, every one of us has bias and preferences. Evaluating, sticking to the main line, not commenting on characters, etc., is very, very useful. And many Swamijis, the Madhva Swamijis I met, all of them agree that we need people who can talk, stick to the point rather than criticizing others, which you are doing. And I'm very sure that you will become a Haridas Bhatt of your own segment.
He is my Guruji, sir. We had one session yesterday also. We pale in comparison to the kind of knowledge that he has.
No. That we can have. I understand that. I totally understand that. It's a segmentation. I'm saying there is a segment for which Haridas Bhatt will mean nothing. Right? They will not understand one word of what he's saying. However, he's very present. Unless many other scholars who are very arrogant, Haridas Bhatt is a very kind person. very
He is
compassionate person, very humble
very,
person, right?
yes.
But even then, we don't understand him.
There is one more quality about him. He is not aligned to one matha per se. He's aligned to all mathas.
Correct.
So there are some recent things where people have been justifying things only because the person who said has been come from their matha and so on.
You're still under record, so please have it in mind.
No problem. So my point is that they are not to not be aligned to a matha. I see that as a but to be aligned to the truth or whatever it is, right?
It's
I mean,
very
he is the
important.
main. He is the what do you call? Is what Acharya himself would have liked, and I think my Guruji actually abides by that thing. And both my Gurujis, he and Vyasarajamata Swamiji, both of them, right? They are really what I call as mathatita, right? I mean,
Exactly. That's very important. Particularly in today's world, it is required. The old structure was for a whole purpose. There was no communication. People are staying put in village, etc. But now it's important to coalesce, right? I hope it'll happen more and more in the coming future. But like coming back to you, you really, I sincerely say this. We you and I have had a lot of disagreements, virtually on many aspects, and that is okay. But I do see you for the young Madhva segment. Only thing is, I'm a little dissatisfied that you're not vocal in this Madhva Brahmin forum, right? It is full of advertisement and etc. And there's no tattva discussion at all. I feel you are the guy who can do it, but you're not doing it there.
No, I think I'm more equipped to write rather than speak. So I would. There are some more fundamental topics on which I need to write. And I tried initially on Madhva Brahmin Facebook group, and because of that very reason, see, I mean, 90% of the people, even the ones that are blinking, they are there because they want to get some punya rather than understand the topic. So everybody has their own different goals when they're attending a lecture from my Guruji or anybody else, for that matter. So I mean, as Krishna himself says, right, na buddhi vedam janayed ajñānam karma sanginam. So I don't try to impose myself on them for that reason.
I like to, just think to provoke people, and I do that. But now I think they have put a lot of restrictions. Everything I submit has to be approved by admin and all those stuff. And so
that's been there for quite some time, actually.
But I don't know. Earlier, mine used to go immediate. Within 5 minutes, you get post. Nowadays, it takes 1 or 2 days. I have to go to Brahmasutra with our friend Yogendra and say, "Bhaiya, what's going on?" Then he say, "Look at it." Yeah. Ramanatha, huh? He
I don't know.
Yeah, one of the admins who I know very well, and so he will immediately look at it and approve. So that is a kind of a put off for me, because see, it's okay. I mean, I understand 90% of the time you can have regular commonplace things, but Madhva Brahmin forum, which says the objectives clearly, Tattva, the philosophy is an objective, should allocate 10% time for Tattva, the discussions at least. No, otherwise that object should be taken out. And you say, okay, that's fine. Visiting Punya Sthala, Tirtha Yatra, and putting photographs and everybody putting namaskara is okay. I'm not against it. But if you have the objective, because there is no forum, and particularly, it's not only with Madhvas, I've tried in Advaita forums also. In forum,
I have only one small suggestion for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you have gone through this yourself, so that's why I will give this point thing. When Krishna says, right, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschin mam yatra siddhaye, there is truth in that. Okay, it is a hard truth that all people are not interested.
Correct.
So we have to accept that with humility, thank him for giving us these things, and then move around that thing.
I agree, because I've been thrown out of Madhva forums, I've been thrown out of Advaita forums also.
Okay.
Yeah. In Madhva forums, they say this fellow is Advaiti, why are you here? And Advaitis, they prove it, because some of them objected, why should you learn Advaita from a Madhva? It was a so Dvaitis thing.
Are they learning Advaita from somebody else also, for that matter? I mean,
no, they don't care. They first of all they say, who are you? What is your background? And they go to my. They don't see me harshly commenting on Madhvas or Madhwacharya, rather appreciating him and so on. They think, each party thinks I am the what is it called, undercover agent for the other party.
My observation has been that amongst the 3 schools of Vedanta, right, more Madhvas are involved in actual studies compared to
Correct.
the other schools of this.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
The next one is
Vakyarthas
Advaita, and
are-
third one is Vishishtadvaita.
Yeah,
Vishishtadvaitins,
exactly.
they don't spend time in studying their bhashyas and things like that. I mean, the percentage is very less.
Very less. I agree with you.
If it is like, 0.5% in Madhvas, it is like 0.001% in Vishishtadvaitins.
Correct.
So it is not bad.
Vishishtadvaitis have gone astray in my view. That's all I would say. They may not like it, but they lost the
they
way.
are a lot into applying the nama and things like that. I've seen many of them, they apply the nama, they don't do the Sandhyavandanam also.
Correct, exactly.
I mean, at least in Tamil Nadu side, right? The Chennai, I have seen some of them, they don't do that. But they want to appear as Vishishtadvaita. That much is
Exactly. No. Vakyarthas in Madhva Mathas are extraordinary. I mean, many people agree. Even I have taken it to even Sringeri, and I said that why is it that you guys not organizing these kind of things? And many of them I admit that I said the problem with this statement only got me an exit pass. I said the way guys you people are talking, you're better off reporting to Ulipi Mata. If you think that doing 1,008 times Aham Brahmasmi, you will become Aham Brahmasmi, you belong there. Go there. I think first learn Tattva first. You are not qualified. See, Chandrasekhar Bharati used to say, years and years, decades back, he died in 1954. So he used to say, when people argue with him about Dvaita, Advaita, he says, shut up, he used to say. Have you even, first of all, seen the feet of Vishnu, first of all? You've not even seen the feet of figuratively. And why are you talking about whether Vishnu's face is this way, that way, or what nonsense is this? You're not doing basic things like Sandhya Vandani and things like that. Why do you talk about philosophy? Do the ordinary things first. Then Iswara Ichcha will be there. At that time, he'll elevate you whichever direction you have to go. So that I thought was a very sensible advice given some 70 years back, right? I told the same guy, same thing. If you guys are talking like this, first of all, Madhwacharya has given you a choice. 8. Pick anyone, okay? And first learn from them, then we will see. So they don't agree to that. So they said, in fact, there was one big lecture I gave with 200 odd people attending. After the next half an hour, I was thrown out of the group with a comment saying, we don't have to learn Advaita from Advaitin. That too, a crossover Advaitin, some name they gave me.
So that thing is always there, even in other, if you know, right, even the Muslims in Pakistan, right, they don't like the Muslims who have the converted Muslims.
In Saudi Arabia treats all the Indian subcontinent Muslims as what do you call?
Second grade.
Whatever their name, insulting name they've got. Fakir or something. Not Fakir. Kafir. Even the Muslims are considered kafir if you come from, some Indian subcontinent. That apart. I think I'm rambling here, but still, point is to show to the readers that from my point of view, I would request readers not to be typecast into anything. Advaita. It is a quest. We do not know. Unless you agree to the point that Shankara is an avatara, Brahma is an avatara, Madhva is an avatara, unless you go there, everybody is guessing, interpreting Shrutis to the base of their understanding, and postulating what will be the moksha status is. Because none of these people have come back and told, you know what, I told the following things, 80% correct there and gone back. They have not said that. Therefore, by design, Adhyatma is based on fierce independent thinking, relentless pursuit, keeping an open mind, willing to accept that I won't be correct all the time and continue. And this will build humility to accept that, ultimately I come back to Madhva again. Mukti is nothing but Ishvara Prasada. That understanding you have to get out of experience, not by reading his text. Every step of there, you stumble, you make mistakes and say, what the heck have I done? And suddenly something happens, you understand, I didn't even try. Why did this happen? Then you understand, this is called Ishvara Prasada. And your job is Jignasa. Atato Brahma Jignasa is the only line which is valid to be remembered for life. Everything else is footnote for that line. Keep doing. That's what my request to the readers are. But I believe you are really, really, once again, I would say that you are Haridas, but for this segment, which is English speaking, which is lost with Jaggi, Vasudev and others. They're not bad. I like them also, but I'm just saying, from Tattva perspective, I'm saying they're lost. But particularly Madhwa was born in non-Karnataka areas, like Andhra, Tamil Nadu particularly. Tamil Nadu Madhwas are completely lost. They don't know Kannada also, and they don't know Kannada. Obviously, literature, they don't know Sanskrit or Kannada. They're completely cut off. Not many have translated Madhwa works into Tamil either. Therefore, these are all some of the things, but they're very, very. One common thing I find in Madhwas in anywhere in the state is that, whether I've seen them in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Andhra, they're very humble people. That much I've seen. Madhwas are very humble. By design, they're very humble. The philosophy, the family tradition ingrains humility. So they're willing to learn, but they're lost. So I don't know whether it's going to be a part of your agenda. If you can do something. So I know Tamil Nadu Madhwas very well. I was born there. I spent 10, 15 years of my life there. They're yearning to learn, but there's nobody to guide. That is the thing. For example, if Satyatma Tirthu or even Vyasaraja Gurugulu comes and talks, they will not understand anything. Okay, they're lost. Like you define Shri Vaishnavas as putting only Nama. Tamil Nadu Madhwas are only there for putting Urdu Pundra and then
I agree.
That's all.
There is a problem.
You should think about it. Do you know Tamil by any chance?
Konjam varum, sir.
Konjam varum. Tamil is not important because many of them know English. So I don't know whether your efforts include targeting Tamil Nadu Madhwas. You will be doing a great service there.
Okay. I'll consider that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Right, sir.
We'll see you next time.
Right,
okay.
Sir.
Bye.